Yes, hello everyone. Welcome once again to my channel. This is your girl Nora on Nora Live, and today, as usual, we are having a special guest. Yes, the man himself, CEO and founder of Marriage University International, an academy built to build relationships and marriages. His literature has been circulated and read around the world. He has delivered lectures in many countries like Nigeria, USA, Malawi, Togo, Central African Republic, to mention but a few. So stick around because he even has gifts for us today. Yes. So stick around to the end. So without further ado, join me as we welcome the man himself, Coach Joshua Chibuike Akudike, to the show. Coach Joshua,
Thank you.
you are very welcome.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you, Uganda. Thank you, world. Thank you, viewers from all over the world watching me. Thank you.
So much. So now, Coach Joshua, tell us about yourself. Tell us how you became a marriage counselor, and what prompted you to take that route.
Okay, I will start by saying that Joshua Chibuike Akudike. I'm a UK, USA, and Canadian certified relationship counselor and marriage coach. I'm married. I've been married for 6 years now, and I live in Lagos, Nigeria. I came about becoming a relationship counselor, marriage coach some 10 years ago when I saw that a lot of relationships and marriages were not really what God has intended for them to be. So my desire and at the same time in my quest to knowing what the reasons were, I took an in-depth study of God's word and also other materials written and published by renowned authors around the world. So it is through this experience that I came across some vital keys that will make a relationship or marriage work. So I decided then to help relationships and marriages around the world. So when I started, it was like a joke. People were like, what is this guy saying? Who is he? Who knows him? And I was just writing, and every time I wrote, I had just about 4 likes, 6 likes, at most 10. But the breakthrough came in 2018. That was on the 1st of May. For the first time in my life, I posted an article and I received 1,000 likes and comments. And as I continue, I saw myself having over 5,000, over 10,000, just like that. And before I knew what was happening, people started calling me from all over the world, whites, blacks, Asians. Coach Joshua, I'm having an issue with my relationship. Coach Joshua, I'm having an issue with my marriage. And before I also knew it, a lot of organizations, online and offline, started calling me. Please, we would like you to feature in our groups, in our programs, etc. So that was how this whole thing started.
Wow, that's very good. So, Coach Joshua, with your over 10 years experience in this field of marriage counseling, in
Yes.
one of your shows, you talked about gentlemen of valor. Who is a gentleman of valor, and how does one become a gentleman of valor?
Okay, let me begin by saying that Gentleman of Valor is a group of single men who that is championed by a married man, a pastor. And I had the privilege of speaking with them. That was 2 days ago. That was Wednesday. And I had the privilege of talking about man's sexuality. Is it a blessing or a curse? Now, one of the things I made them understand is that for a relationship to be successful, for a marriage to be blissful, the man in that relationship or marriage has to be a gentleman to the core. He has to be a gentleman to the core. It doesn't have to be overly traditional. It doesn't have to be overly cultural. It doesn't have to be overly extremist. It just have to be a gentleman to the core. Now, who is a gentleman to the core? He's just a down-to-earth person, a friendly person, an easygoing person, somebody who lives a simplistic life, somebody that things don't really matter to him. For example, when you are a gentleman, as a married man, you could cook for the family like I do. I cook for my family. Sometimes my wife is still sleeping, I will just cook. Sometimes my children are just sleeping, I will cook. Sometimes I do the laundering for the whole family. I go to the laundry room, I turn on the washing machine, and I wash the clothes. Do you understand that? Sometimes I play just like that. So that is, in a nutshell, who a gentleman is.
Okay, I understand. So, like you have encroached my next question, but I will ask it anyway. In
Okay.
the comment of Valacho, you talked about men's sexuality being a blessing or a curse. Help
Yes.
us understand what you meant by that statement. You have just answered
Oh,
the question, I think, but you can elaborate more about it.
okay.
Mm.
Now, this was a question. This is a question that a lot of men do ask themselves.
Yes.
And some people have settled with this ideology that sexuality is not really a blessing, is a curse.
Mm.
Because every now and then we hear about one sexual abuse, we hear about one rape case, we hear about, things like that that are really anti-sex. So now what I did was to, first of all, establish that sexuality is a blessing.
Mm.
Sexuality, the concept behind sex or sexuality was established by God.
Mm.
And if you look at the scriptures, for those of us who are believers in the Christian faith, in the book of Genesis chapter 1, from verse 31, we are told that everything that God created was good, including sexuality. And in the book of Genesis chapter 4, verse 1 to 4, we are told that and Adam knew his wife. In other words, there was a sexual activity carried out. Now, sexuality could become a curse if not properly understood or handled. These days, we have a lot of people who have a misconception about the concept called sexuality.
Mm.
That's why every now and then we hear about rape case, we hear about abuses, domestic abuse, and all the rest. It's simply because people don't really understand the concept of sexuality. Sex is a blessing. Sex is a blessing, it's not a curse, provided we have a good understanding of sexuality and we go about our sexuality as intended by God.
Exactly. Thank you so much. God bless you. How do you make a good relationship that leads to marriage? People want to.
Okay,
Mm.
okay. Now, see what we do. As a counselor, I have the privilege of meeting both Christians and non-Christians. And if you're a Christian like myself, I tell the people, for example, if they come to me as a counselor, or if I've gone somewhere to deliver a lecture,
Yes.
I tell them that the first thing to establish is God's will.
Amen.
You have to understand, establish God's will. Now, what is God's will? God's will is knowing God's mind concerning that partner. The truth of the matter is, everybody is marriageable, but not everybody, but you cannot marry everybody.
Yes.
Everybody is marriageable, but you cannot marry everybody. Now, why do you have to bring God into the picture? It is simply because as a child of God, we have a personal relationship with him. And for instance, for me, God speaks to me. And if God truly speaks to me, I need to know what he has to say about a particular person. And if God says something, I will act on that. And if God does not say anything, I'm left to either act on it or not to act on it. So it starts with understanding or establishing God's will. Now, how do we know? What are the parameters of God's will? One key parameter of God's will is compatibility. Now, compatibility in the context of relationship and marriage means agreement and acceptance. The Bible says in the book of Amos chapter 3 verse 3, can two work together except they agree? What that tells us is that both lovers should agree on salient issues and accept themselves for who they are. Thank you.
Thank you too. So now, Coach Joshua, how do you get your partner to propose if you've been in a relationship for some time and they are not proposing?
Okay, this is also one question that I've often received from especially the single ladies.
Yes.
You hear a story of a lady who has been in a relationship for the past 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, sometimes even going to 7 years,
Yes.
and the brother is not proposing. Now, the ideal thing is that the man should propose.
Yes.
Ideally, the man should propose.
Yes.
But if it happens that for whatever reason the man is not proposing, what the lady should do is to bring up discussions around proposal issues.
Request.
That is the deal. Yes, you bring. Sorry, what do you say?
Like you mean the woman should make it a requirement.
Yes, just like that. She has to find, yes, she has to understand her stand in that relationship. Okay? And she should be asking some inquisitive, some inquiring question, or probably some probing questions so as to know the mind of the guy towards her. And if at the end of it all, the guy seems not to be talking in that direction, she has to make a decision, either to continue with that relationship or to end it and move on. But what I do as a coach, to avoid this, I work so much with, I have a group where I'm working with about 500 singles. And every now and then I make them understand, especially the men, that it is good for you to talk. And if you do not know how to woo a lady or say something, meet me in person. I will borrow you some of the words you need to say to those ladies.
Yes, I'm going to leave the social media handles of Coach Joshua in the description so that you can follow him whenever you want to talk to him. Now, Coach, what are those indicators that a man isn't interested to take the relationship to the next level? What are those indicators a woman ought to see or to know that this man isn't taking me anywhere?
Okay, number one, we have unconditional love.
Yes.
Okay, unconditional love. That is love without restrictions, love without reservation. That's number one.
Yes.
Number two, commitment.
Yes.
Commitment, whereby the guy is committed to that lady alone. He's not double dating. He does not have a mistress somewhere. He does not have a side chick somewhere. He's just with the lady. Then number three, he is talking about his plans of settling down. He's talking about the plans of settling down. Every now and then he's discussing, he keeps mentioning marriage, and marriage to the lady. These are indicators. Then number four, he now tells the lady that, please, I would like to meet your family. After being together maybe for a few months or thereabout, say, I would like to meet your family. So these are the things, these are the indicators.
Indicators that he's interested, he has a direction for that relationship. Great, God bless you. How do you get your, we'll finish that one. There is a theory that those who join marriage when they are virgins stay longer. Those who join a marriage when they are virgins do not stay longer in their marriages. But those who join marriage when they are not virgins stay longer in that marriage. How true is that theory to you, Coach Joshua? How true is that theory to you, and what do you have to say about it? What do you think about it?
Okay, Nora, if I understand you clearly, did you say that those who are virgin stay longer in marriage?
No, those
Okay, they don't stay longer in
they
marriage.
don't stay longer in marriage.
Okay.
And
Oh,
those
no,
who are
that's
virgins stay longer. So there is a theory, most singles who
okay.
are virgins ask that question, that what if I keep myself and then this theory catches up with me and
Okay.
and my marriage doesn't last, what should I do?
Okay.
Mm,
Okay, thank you, Nora. I would like to start by debunking that theory by
mm,
saying that it's not true. It's not true.
good.
I would like to say that virginity, anytime, any day, is priceless.
Mhm,
Virginity is God's ultimate requirement for entering into a marital union.
mm,
That is what God has intended for marriage.
mm,
That those who are getting married, whether the man or the woman, should enter marriage in a state of innocence, because one component of virginity is a state of innocence and naivety.
yeah,
So that is it. But today, because of what the world has become and because of the moral decadence, and a lot of people are made to believe that when you are virgin, you are just like somebody who knows nothing. You are the fool. But that is not true. That is not true.
mm,
Virginity is the best, is priceless. And then I would like to say this, that it is not true that virgins will not stay longer in marriage.
mm,
And it's not true that those who are not virgin will stay longer in marriage.
mm,
Now, what makes marriage last is beyond virginity or not virginity.
exactly.
Virginity is just one aspect, just one component. There are other components, there are many
Mm,
that the lovers or the spouses should subscribe to if the marriage must last. We have a lot of virgins, like you rightly said, whose marriages ended, and not virgins whose marriages lasted. Now, what made a marriage last or a marriage fail is not the virginity status, it is character.
amen.
Character is very, very pivotal.
Mhm,
In fact, aside the grace of God, marriage revolves around the personality of the spouses at the rate of 70%.
yeah,
In other words, 70% of the marriage success is determined by the personality of the two spouses involved, not God.
mhm,
Okay, God, as important as He is in our relationship,
mhm,
is not the one marrying, it is us. You are the one to lay your bed the way you want to lie on it.
it,
So, what God does, He supplies us with a solid foundation, which is His word.
mm,
Now, the taste and the shape of the marriage, or even the longevity of the marriage, is determined by the two lovers or two spouses,
mm,
not God. Because if God was the one determining the longevity, the taste, and the shape of marriages, we won't be having divorces all over the place. We won't be having separations. It
mhm,
is our prerogative.
yes. Thank you so much, Coach Joshua. Now, you once posted on your Facebook that, dear singles, not all relationship breakups are bad. Many are blessings in disguise. So help us understand that statement.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I said something like that recently and even over the years.
Yes.
I've advised singles every time that, please, let's be spiritual, let's be more spiritual, and
Mm,
let's be less emotional when we're in a love relationship.
yes.
Because sometimes God uses some incident to convey a message to us. But because we are carried away by our emotions, we seem not to see the signals or the messages that God is sending across to us.
Mm,
Now, back to what you ask. Not all relationship breaks up are bad. Some are blessing in disguise.
yes.
Now, when a man or a woman wakes up one morning or one day and tells the other lover that I'm done with you, I'm done with this relationship, at the level of relation, it should be seen as a blessing. Because what if these two had married, and maybe some years into the marriage, the man or the woman wakes up one morning and say, I'm done with this marriage. Which one is worse? Or which one is better? I would have preferred that this lady leaves me while I'm still single than when I am married. So some breaks up are just blessings in disguise.
Amen. Thank you so much, Coach Joshua.
Thank you.
God bless you. So what would be your advice to someone who is dating a very good and loving partner, but that partner is from a different religion and their family are not ready to endorse that marriage, that relationship to lead to marriage? What would be your advice as Coach Joshua?
Okay, this is really a very difficult question, in the sense that it has to do a lot with sentiment than facts. But as a counselor, I have to be professional. And I tell people this, that love alone is never enough to make a marriage work. Love is just elementary. Love is basic. There are other components that make a marriage work. Now, one thing that should make a marriage work, one principal thing that should make a marriage work is compatibility. Now, compatibility simply means agreement and acceptance. Now, in the Bible, for instance, the Bible that we believe as Christians teaches that a Christian should marry in the same household of faith. Now, same household of faith means that he should also be a believer like yourself. Now, God did not say we should marry ourselves because if I marry somebody from another faith, it won't work. No, it's simply because religion is powerful. Look, for example, let me give an example from the Bible. You know the story of King Solomon. King Solomon had so many wives. And one of the wives he had was a daughter of Pharaoh. And we know the story. The Bible says that the daughter of Pharaoh turned his heart away from the living God to the idols of our land. I don't know if you understand that. So the daughter of Pharaoh turned the heart of King Solomon from worshiping the one true God to worshiping the idols of Egypt. So it is on this premise that God is saying, it is better everybody stays within their household of faith. It is advisable that Christians marry Christians for many reasons. The one I just cited is just one. Agreement. Imagine now imagine now a believer, a true believer, and a true worshiper, a true believer, maybe trying to marry a Muslim and a true Muslim. Let me just be true with you that no true Muslim will marry a true Christian, and no true Christian will marry a true Muslim. And most times what we see, the Christians and the Muslims who are trying to get together are those who are not really practicing in their religion. They are not really practicing Christian, and they are not really practicing Muslims. Do you understand? Because a true Christian will not marry a Muslim, and a true Muslim will not marry a Christian. And if that is like that, that means there's already a spiritual disagreement. And if people ignore that, on the long run, it's going to pose a problem for those two lovers. Maybe not now, maybe in the future.
So in the beginning, like if these two people are not very seriously religious, but their parents and family is, that's where the problem comes in. Because the parents are looking at the future. They are looking at it 5-10 years from now, what will happen. And these youngsters are not looking at it that way. They are just looking here. I think that's the problem. So
yes.
Thank you so much about that. There is a saying that age is just a number. Why is it that when people get married with a very wide age difference, they are stigmatized so much by society, especially if it's the woman who is much older than the man?
Okay, thank you. Well, actually, when we talk about age, some people will tell you that age is just in numbers. But I will say this, that what the issue here is, how much of that age gap are we talking about? If it is just an age gap of 5 years, 10 years, is still okay. But when it is an age gap of 20, 30, 40, you can't tell me that age is just in numbers. You can tell me that because at the start, it may look like everything is all fine, all good, but in the long run, the person will realize that that age is not just a number. There are so many other factors involved therein. Now, in Africa, to be frank with you, it is not our culture to have a woman older than the man. It's not our culture. Okay.
Yes.
And one of the beliefs is this, that once a woman is older than the man cannot command the total respect that he should command in that marriage. But one thing that we forget to understand is that respect is not always akin to age.
Yes, right.
No. If someone is nasty, no matter how far older the man is to that woman, the woman will still not give him the respect he deserves. So recently, I handled a case. They are talking about divorce right now because it was a case of a wrong marriage, and I cautioned them and I told them, but some of them will not listen. They will say, I love him, I love her. And the man was 10 years older. He's 10 years older than the woman. And right now they are talking about divorce. And now this woman has disrespected this man so much, even though she's younger, 10 years younger than the man. So you can see that now. So it is not always about the man being older. That is how he's going to be respected. It is about the personality of that lover. I've seen marriages whereby the woman is 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years older than the man, and she respects the husband, gives him his respect, and the marriage is working. Do you understand? So, like I said, in Africa, it is not our thing to have women older than us. But to be frank, if the age difference is not much, if it's just age difference of 5, 10 years, to me, there's no problem. When it becomes a difference of 20, 30, I think there is an issue. I think there is an issue. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, in your article, the death of a spouse is the end of a marriage. You said that a widow or widower is free to remarry if they wish, if they so wish. In some cases, when the dead spouse has been rich, especially if it has been the man, relatives are so protective of that wealth that they will control the woman. They will do anything in their power to make sure no one else enjoys that wealth. Sometimes they don't even want that same woman to enjoy her late husband's wealth. So in cases where the woman is now done mourning and they want to remarry, how do you advise such a woman?
Okay. This is also another very serious problem in Africa, frankly speaking. And the reason is simply because in Africa, we have a lot of dependence. Yes, dependent. By dependent, I mean people who depend on us for their survival. For example, I have some dependent, maybe they feel that God has helped me financially. And once in a while, they say, brother, uncle, send us this, send us that money. Do you understand? And it is that problem of dependence is a real problem. Imagine if everybody was doing fine financially. I think this thing would not be so much of an issue. Now, what I tell men is this: please, while you are still alive, set boundaries around your family. In fact, get everything legalized. They leave a will, because once a will is left, they can, even though there might be some contest, they will go to court. The court will rule it in the favor of the wife, because a legal document backs her up to having access to her husband's wealth. Now, it becomes problematic when such legal document was not put in place. And the African society believes that marriage is always about the man and his own side of the family.
Yes.
So what that means is that you always see his family always fighting to ensure that the woman, even though she is widow, does not have anything from the wealth of their son and brother. Now, the best thing to do is this: if that has happened, the woman should go and meet the family of the man,
Yes.
and explain to them that, see, my husband is late and I'm still very young. Let's say the woman is in her 30s. Do you expect me to remain this way all the days of my life? Imagine if this was your daughter or your sister. Do you expect her to stay like this without a man, without a companion for the remaining days of her life? Well, since there was no legal document to give me something out of the inheritance, can you at least please give me something out of what my husband has left? She can only be pleading because there's no legal document to back her up. But if there was a will, she can challenge them to court and she will win the case. But because there is nothing like that, she is more or less at the mercy of the family. Now, what is my take on this all? I want to appeal to every person getting married these days. Please make sure that your marriage is legalized. And secondly, the man, when you get to a certain age, God has helped you financially, please do the needful. Leave a will.
Yes.
Leave a will.
Because
That is the
anything
best
can
way
happen
to stop that.
anytime. Yeah, you're very right. So in other words, you're telling married couples to enhance their communication, to talk about
Yes.
these important issues, because many people do not talk about death. They do not even put it in place that it can happen anytime. They think it can happen after someone is sick or old. But I think these are the issues married couples are always supposed to talk about and to discuss. You're very right. Thank you. God bless you. Now, what would be your advice to people who are being pushed psychologically and verbally to get married by their family or even their already married counterparts, but they feel they are not ready? But they are being pushed by their family, their already married friends and counterparts and siblings to get married. What is your advice to those people?
Okay, thank you. The advice is very simple. Take charge of your life. Stand your ground. Africa is a continent with so much pressure. We have financial pressure, emotional pressure, marital pressure, career pressure. The pressures are so much. As if care is not taken, one gives in to those pressures, the end result may be fatal. So the best thing to do is stand your ground. You know what you want. For instance, as a man, some years back when I wanted to get, because I met my woman in 2009, we got married in 2014. So what actually happened was this: I am from the Yoruba tribe in Nigeria. I mean, the Igbo tribe in Nigeria, I mean to say. My wife is from the Yoruba tribe in Nigeria. And among these tribes, there's always these ill feelings. We don't like Yorubas, we don't like Igbos, etc. So when I told my parents about my marital plans, that I found someone that I will marry, one of the questions they asked me was, which tribe is she from? I told them that she's a Yoruba. I can remember my mom saying vividly that we are not going to get married to her. We're not going to marry her. Do you know what they did? When they said this, me too, I told them that, please, I spoke softly, but they still were not taking it. It got to a point, it became some kind of heated argument. I told her, this is the woman I love.
Exactly.
This is the woman I want to marry. I stood my ground. And on her own side, my woman then too, what happened? Her family were not also agreeing, she also stood her ground. Do you understand? So she also stood her ground. It took us some time, but at the end of it all, 5 years into our love relationship, we later got married. And today, the fears that they have that marrying somebody from another tribe may not work is being rubbished. Today, we are happily married. We're having one of the best marriages in the world, inspiring millions of people all over the world. Now, please, coming back to the pressure, I would like to tell all singles out there, please do not succumb to any pressure. You know what you want and you know what you want out of life. Let no friend, no family, no parent, no neighbor, no colleague make you walk out of your convictions. Maybe there's a particular man, they are telling you to marry him, or there's a particular woman, and you know what you want. You see that this person's dreams, or this person's temperament, or this person's ideology about marriage don't agree with yours. Stand your ground and tell them that no, it's not that I don't want to get married now. It's just that I have not yet found the person I wish to marry. This person is okay. He's a great guy. She's a great lady, but I don't think they are for me. I don't think this lady is for me. I don't think this man is for me. So that is it. So don't succumb to any pressure. Take charge of your life, because if you make any mistake and you marry the person you don't love or who does not love you, you will be the one bearing the brunt. All those people who advise you or who perhaps pressured you into marry that person will only be saying to you, sorry, take heart.
Thank you so much, Coach Joshua. Now,
Thank
in
you.
my career, I've seen very many people, especially ladies, who are in these marriages. The marriage is going on, the money is providing, everything is going on well, but they no longer have sexual feelings with their partners. They just force themselves. They have to take tablets. They have to take herbs. They are just forcing it. And yet, at the look of things, the marriage is going on well. Apart from in that area, the woman has to fake everything, fake feelings, fake orgasm. What is the cause of this, and how can women go about it, especially with ladies?
Okay, now let me begin by saying that we do not, as individuals, we do not all have the same sex drive.
Yes.
Some individuals have low sex drive, some have high sex drive, some have high hyper sex drive. Now, the best advice I always give to people is that before you get married, it is good you go talk to a counselor. Yes, a professional counselor. In the course of preparing you guys, he will raise the issue of sexuality. He will explain this to you guys. He will explain. And if in the course of explaining all this, the man or the woman feels that there is a challenge, he or she may confide in that counselor who can recommend a sex therapy for them. Do you understand? A sex therapy for them. Now, another thing also that can affect the sexuality of the man or the woman also has to do with the diet. Especially in this part of the world, we are not too good with diet. We just eat anything we see. Sometimes they can affect our sex drive. Then another thing that can affect the sex drive is pressure, tension. In Africa, we are under so much pressure and tension. Pressure to meet the basic needs, which should not be an issue, if not for the kind of economic realities we have found in our continent. People have to do extra, and imagine that man coming back late and the woman wants sex. Where is the strength for the sex? That is another thing. Then another one also is the way sex is being carried out by the lovers. You know, in Africa, I can tell you that many people don't know the dynamics of sex. They don't understand what is bedmatics and the sexmatics of sex. A man comes like this and he is horny, he wants sex, and he sees his wife and he wants to just penetrate her like that.
Yes.
No, women don't respond to sex like that. Women don't. A man can easily be aroused, but the woman is not easily aroused. You have to turn her on. And one way you can turn on a woman is by starting that communication much earlier in the day. If you guys are the type that have sex at night, you start the communication earlier in the day. Say nice things to her. Yes, you say nice things to her, you praise her, and maybe you can praise her for the last sex activity you had. You can tell her that, well, last time you were so good, you were so this, you were so like that. And all these things are ways to prepare her for the real show at the time that you guys will be having it. So in this part of the world, we see a lot of men or a lot of women just jump like that. No, it doesn't happen that way. Then lastly, sex or marriage, let me put it that way, it's like a fire. Let me put it, it's like fire that is lit. And to keep a fire up, the fire needs to be fanned continuously. Now the issue is, when these people got married in their first year, in their second year, in their third year, in their fifth year, there was this sexual activeness. What has not gone wrong? Why is the thing diminishing? It's because they are gradually forsaking, abandoning those things that they were doing that kept the flames of fire, the flames of love or sex up.
Yes.
Maybe it could be that the children have come in. Yes, when children come in, definitely their attention will be divided. But the wife should find a way to balance it between being a mother and being a wife. And the husband, maybe by virtue of his job, career, he has to balance it between being a professional and a husband that he is to be to the wife. So in a nutshell, people should keep at it. People should keep doing those things that keep the fire of sexual pleasure in the marriage up.
Yes. Thank you so much. Now, Coach Joshua, according to your profile, you were trained in the USA, Canada, UK as a relationship and marriage counselor. Tell us, what is the success of interracial marriages? Have you had some cases of people breaking up because they're in interracial marriages? Because according to me, I've had a few, but they are not breaking up. Their marriages are just blossoming. It looks like it's easier to have an interracial marriage. And someone wants to know, is it the way to go? Is it easier, or all marriages are the same? You just have to work on your marriage.
Okay, now let me say this, that in Africa, interracial marriage is still not very well welcome because most Africans, we prefer their son or their daughter marrying from their tribe or from their country.
Yes.
That is just the general belief. They believe that it is better. And they'll not be saying that their tribe is the best or their country is the best, but they hold on to this popular adage that says that the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
At least I know this devil. At least I understand this devil. But how about that angel that I know nothing about? So those fears are there. That's number one. Then number two, honestly speaking, interracial marriage has a lot of work to do. Yes. You remember, these are two different backgrounds.
Yes.
Okay. These are probably two different ideology about marriage. For instance, recently I've been working on a case, a Nigerian lady trying to get married to a Black American guy. And the Black American guy has been upsetting the lady by approaching everything according to the American way of approaching life. And the lady has been, she has been angry. She has been angry. And the lady also trying to do the same. And the guy also said, why are you complicating issues for me? So when I came into the picture, I say, hey guys, hold it there. You are from two different countries, two different continents, and probably two different ideology about marriage. So it was when I started explaining things to them that they now calmed down. And I say, okay, now you, the American, look at yourself. Do you think you have what it takes to get married to a Nigerian, an African person, and you, the Nigerian lady, do you think you have what it takes to getting married to an American guy? So we have a lot of work to do.
Yes.
Understanding, you must work on the understanding level. You work on the ideology level. Maybe the communication barrier. For example, in America, they speak English. They don't speak any other language. Whereas in Nigeria, we have over 250 languages and ethnicities. So if I, for example, as a Nigerian, marry a Nigerian, and maybe somebody from my tribe, I'll be speaking our language in between. But this one now, you'll be forced to speak English all through because the man you are trying to get married or the man you're trying to get does not understand your language. In my own case, for instance, now, I'm Igbo, my wife is Yoruba, my wife speaks Yoruba, I speak Igbo. But you know that in our marriage, we speak English all through. We don't speak our local dialect. This is one of the challenges about marrying from a different race or from a different tribe. And there are also the traditions and the cultures. For example, when I wanted to get married to my wife, she's from the Yoruba tribe, they do their wedding, the three, on the same day. They will do registry, do traditional and church wedding. Where we Igbos, we do the traditional first. We can wait 6 months or even a year before we do the church wedding. So because I was trying to get married to her, I needed to drop my own ideology or cultural something to embrace her own so that I could marry her. Do you understand? And several other things. What about the meals, the food? She is Yoruba. What they eat, they have some different meals that we don't eat. We also have different meals that they don't eat. So because there was love, because there was understanding, we decided to work on that. And every day we keep working at them to have a more blissful marriage. Honestly speaking, interracial marriage is okay, but the issue is, do you have what it takes to make it work? That is the big question.
Yes. So that means before you get married with a person of a different race or a different tribe, or if you're already in that kind of marriage, it's continuous work. Find what it takes to make your marriage work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, what advice do you give to guys out there who want to marry, but they don't have money? They are earning less, but they really want to get married. Because many guys right now are scared. Women want luxurious things, they want big weddings, they want big dresses, they want, and also the men don't fear not only the wedding, but also marriage, the expenses. What advice do you give such people?
Okay, thank you. This is one question I love so much to answer because I was once there. When I started my marital journey, I had little or nothing. But you know the secret is this. If a guy is earning solo, I won't advise him to marry a lady who is doing nothing. The lady also must be working. If the guy is earning solo, he must marry a lady who is working or doing something. That is one thing, one aspect of it. And if the guy is earning solo, and if the low income can take care of him and an extra mouth, they can go ahead with the marriage. But if it is something that can barely feed him, he should not get married like that. He should get married to a lady who has something doing or who is working. That's number 2. Then there's nothing wrong for a guy to start his marital journey with little or nothing. There's absolutely nothing wrong about that. But the issue is the woman that he would like to start that marital union, is she on the same page with him?
Exactly.
Is she willing to start that marital journey that way? That is where the problem is. And if she's on the same page, she has to understand that getting married to somebody like that will require a lot of patience, a lot of understanding, a lot of deprivation, a lot of sacrifices. That was what happened in my case. I had little or nothing. When my wife came on board, thank God, she understood. A very reasonable person. I am eternally grateful to God and to her.
Amen.
She was patient. For years. I did not buy her clothes.
Wow.
For years, I did not buy her jewelry. For years, I did not give her any money. For years. That is what it takes to get married to somebody who has little or nothing. And if you as a guy, the lady you want to marry is the kind that will not understand. My advice is this: please quit that relationship. Quit it, because if you get married in that kind of situation with that kind of person, it will end in disaster. The best thing is end the relationship. There's nothing wrong with starting little. Today, by the grace of God, I'm no longer where I used to be. Then, when we got married, everything was small, little. And I want to say this to all the single ladies out there, whether you are from Uganda, from Zambia, or any part of the world, or let's say in Africa generally, where that is where we always have this problem.
Yes.
Yeah, I said that to marry with little or nothing is not a sin, it's not a crime. But what I will not advise young men to do is, if your current salary cannot feed you alone first, you should not think about marriage, okay? And if you would like to marry with a very little salary, I do not advise that you marry a full-time housewife. You should marry a working class person, or somebody who is a self-employed, somebody who can support you financially in your marriage. I understand that by statistics and according to the economic realities in our continent, over 80% of Africans will marry with little or nothing. That is just a fact. There's nothing they can do about that. It's just a fact, because it has been proven, and statistics have it there, that most Africans are very low income earners. They are very low income earners. So what I do as a counselor is to advise young men wanting to marry to ensure that the lady they want to marry is also working or having something to do. And for those who are, even whether they have little little job or very little to offer, they should understand that marrying such a man will require a lot of patience, will require a lot of understanding. In my own case, when I got married to my woman, I had little or nothing. Thank God she was very understanding, she was very reasonable, and she was very patient. For years, I could not buy her clothes. For years, I could not give her anything. For years. And thank God for her, she never made me feel inadequate. That is what many African women do. She never made me feel inadequate. She never compared me with other men who were better off than me financially. She never mocked me. She never told me that, are you a man? If you're a man, come and do what other men are doing. She never did that. Even when we're going to our family once in a while, the parents will look at me. They knew that I was really struggling, but she had a way of covering me. She had a way of making them, just take the discussion off me to something else. And thank God today, by the grace of God, we are better off. So that is my advice. Please, if you want to marry with little or nothing, make sure the woman you want to marry is on the same page with you. Let her possess the qualities that will ensure that she makes a good wife in that kind of financial situation.
Yes. Okay, now, Coach Joshua, you have written many books. Will you please tell us about your books?
Okay, thank you, Nora.
Yes.
Well, presently, by the grace of God, I've written 3 books.
Yes.
One is on relationship, and the book is 20 relationship lessons for singles.
Yes.
It's an e-book. Then the second one is on Christian living. It is called The Secrets of God, Understanding and Enjoying the Heavenly Father. That one is a book. This one is published in USA. Then the third one is a children book. It's called Mom, Mitchell Refuses to Play With Me. It's also a book. It's published in US. So right now I'm working on another ebook, and I'm trust God that before the end of July or August, I would have been through with that one. That one will be for the married people, because when I authored the first ebook, that one was for the singles, and the married fans and friends were like telling me, "Oh, Joshua, why did you have to leave us out? Don't you want us to learn also?" So I am working at putting together some information for the married people. Well, in addition to that, I have written, will I say, if I say over 1,000 articles, I think I'm not exaggerating. Because I post every single day for the past, since 2013 that I joined Facebook. I've been posting every single day. So if I say I've posted over 1,000 articles, I'm not sure that I'm exaggerating.
Very inspiring and very educative.
Thank you.
Thank you too. So now, what are your last words, Coach Joshua? What are your last words? And as promised, Coach Joshua has gifts for us today. So Coach Joshua, tell us about the gifts you have for us today, and give us your last words for this session, for this show, for the people who are watching. Something to carry on with, something to note, and to carry on with, to go to bed with.
Okay, thank you so much, Nora. I want to begin by saying a big thank you to you and your crew for the invitation to feature on your show. I want to thank all the Ugandans and all the Africans and all the people of the world watching this program. Thank you so much for the honor and the privilege to sharing my thoughts on marriage and relationship with you. Then I would like to say this, my parting words on relationship. Please, if you're in a love relationship that is not working, the best thing to do is to back off, is to end it. Even if you have already started the marital, the wedding plans, maybe you've already gone so far into your wedding plans with your lover, please end it now, because it is better to have a broken relationship than a broken marriage. And for the married people, I understand that sometimes in marriage, there are some challenges, and it is not uncommon to have challenges. It is not uncommon. The reason why this happens is because we are imperfect beings. It's only God that is perfect. So when the challenges occur, please do not see yourselves as enemies. See yourselves as friends. Sit down, discuss your issues. And if you think that you cannot handle your issues by yourself, that is where counselors, coaches like myself come in. You can just schedule a counseling session with Coach Joshua or any other coach of your choice, and things will be ironed out and peace will be restored. Then I want to say this, not all marriages are blissful, but you can make your marriage blissful. The success of any marriage is determined largely by the two spouses involved, not God. God is there, is the foundation upon which we build our marriages, but we are the builders themselves, okay? Because the taste, the shape, and the longevity of a marriage is determined by the two spouses involved, not God, not God. Then, like Nora said, I have a special gift for all the viewers and subscribers. I have two. One is man's sexuality, a blessing or a curse, and the other one is understanding courtship. This is one topic that is so confusing to so many singles, and I think you will find answers to them. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nora.
We are glad. Thank you so much. We are blessed and we are glad to have you here. Thank you so much, Coach Joshua Akudike, for this session, for empowering us. We are really blessed to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you, viewers. God bless you all.
You're welcome. Thank you too. Yes, thank you so much for watching. You have heard it, the man himself, Coach Joshua Chibuike Akudike. I'm going to leave his handles in the description below so that if you want more of him, you can follow him. Make use of the gifts he has given us. I'm going to leave the links in the description down below. I'm going to leave the links to the 2 books he has given us in the description for us to read, to use, to empower ourselves and to grow in our marriages and relationships. So if you're new to my channel, please click the subscribe button and share this video. Give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment in the comment section. Keep your comments coming, keep your questions coming. We will be answering them from time to time. This is Nora Live, airs only on Sundays. We love you. Thank you so much. Bye.